Republicans renew their push to get congressional lines redrawn in their favor ahead of the 2026 midterms. Democrats are now moving forward with plans to offset any potential gains in California. California Democrats unveiling a new map that would strip Republicans of 5 of the 9 seats they currently hold in the deep blue state. State lawmakers plan to hold hearings and a vote to put the new maps on the ballot next week.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. So this is the Unpopular Opinion Show on UPO. I'm your host, Johnny Caruso. I'm going to give it to you straight. But before I do, up here to my right, these are the popular opinions by the mainstream media. And we'll play. I don't cherry pick. It might be a conservative video, it might be a leaning liberal video. I don't cherry pick, but mainly I just get it from the mainstream media, okay? And I'll keep my thoughts to a minimum. And then if you see down here at the bottom, I'll have my popular opinion of the day, my take, which is not the mainstream take. So if you're ready for some controversy, tighten up your chin straps, buckle up your seatbelt, and let's go for a ride, baby. Take it to the top.
Texas State House Democrats once again stayed out of their own state today, delaying the unusual mid-decade Republican redistricting effort in that state. We're now in week 2 of this standoff over the new congressional maps for U.S. House seats that could give Republicans at least 5 additional seats in next year's midterm elections, thus staving off any potential midterm losses for Trump and the GOP. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott today said that law enforcement officers are scouring the state of Texas to try and arrest any state House Democrats who are avoiding their business in Austin. But today, the leader of the State House Democratic Caucus said his party will keep denying a quorum to be called unless Governor Abbott prioritizes flood relief legislation over redistricting.
If Governor Abbott says we will take care of the people of the state of Texas first, yes. If he makes that commitment today, we'll be back.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott joins us now. So, Governor, 4 items related to flood relief are on the agenda. When you call the next special session, would you consider removing redistricting from the agenda in order to pass this very, very starkly needed relief for Texans?
So a couple of things. One is the first 4 items on the agenda right now deal with flood relief. Second is during the regular session, there are about 200 pieces of legislation that get passed every single month. I'm asking for only 18 items to be passed during this 30-day special session. They know full well that they have every capability of addressing all these pieces of legislation. And what these Democrats have done, they have turned their back on the people of the state of Texas. For one, it is gutless for Democrats to cut and run. That's anti-Texan. Ever since the time of the Alamo, Texans have stood and fought their ground. Here, Democrats are fleeing like a bunch of chickens. Second, they can address both the redistricting map as well as all these other issues that are so important to their fellow Texans. Know this, and that is average Texans who are watching this show, they have to show up to work. If they don't show up to work, they could get fired. Mm-hmm. These Democrats think they are above that. These Democrats think, well, they can take the day off, they can take the month off, they can jet set across the country, ignoring their duty. By the Constitution, they are required to meet and consider and act on every bill that becomes before them. They're failing to fulfill their constitutional duty.
Yeah, they are, just to explain for our viewers who are not Texans, as the minority party with a very small minority, they argue that their only way to stop this redistricting effort is to deny Republicans in the State House a quorum. So that's why they're doing what they're doing, just to provide their explanation. The Texas Tribune reports that in June, you told Texas Republican delegation in Congress that you were reluctant to add redistricting to the legislative agenda in Austin. The Tribune says that President Trump then called you to discuss redistricting, and you agreed to put it on the special session agenda. Would you have gone forward with redistricting if President Trump had not personally gotten involved and asked you to do this?
To be clear, Jake, this is something that I've been interested in for a long time. First of all, I've been involved in redistricting litigation for more than 20 years now. Second, one thing that spurred all of this is a federal court decision that came out last year. By the way, a case that was filed by Democrats. The federal court decision that came out last year said that Texas is no longer required to have coalition districts. And as a result, we had drawn maps with coalition districts in it. Now we wanted to remove those coalition districts and draw them in ways that, in fact, turned out to provide more seats for Hispanics. For example, 4 of the districts are predominantly Hispanic. It just coincides it's going to be Hispanic Republicans elected to those seats. One thing that's happened in the state of Texas is the Hispanic community, a lot of it, have decided they're no longer with the Democrats who believe in open border policies, who believe in going against our law enforcement, who believe that men should play in women's sports. And they instead align with the Republicans. What we want to do is to draw districts that give those Hispanics and African Americans in the state of Texas the ability to elect their candidate of choice.
All right. There you have it. Jack Abbott says he's going to make arrests if the Democrats don't show up for work. You know, he says it's in the Constitution that they have to show up to do a job or they can and will be arrested. Okay, I'm not going to dwell much on that. That's his take. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think about that. Let's get to the next topic.
Of that state stepped up today to accept the challenge from Donald Trump and Texas Republicans.
Here's the good thing about California, folks. We're the size of 21 state populations combined. We're the 4th largest economy in the world. We're not a small, isolated state. I know they say don't mess with Texas. Well, don't mess with the great Golden State. And so we're here with our state of mind, with the clarity of our purpose and conviction, to recognize that we need to reconcile the world we're living in. We do have agency. We're not bystanders in this world. We can shape the future, and that's what we intend to do today. Here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. And we've got to be held to a higher level of accountability. So that's what this is about. It's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it in reaction to that act. We're doing it mindful of our higher angels and better angels. We're doing it mindful that we want to model better behavior, as we've been doing for 15 years in the state of California with our independent redistricting commission. But we cannot unilaterally disarm. We can't stand back and watch this democracy disappear. We can't stand back and watch this democracy disappear district by district all across this country, not just in Texas, but in Missouri, where J.D. Vance went just a week ago, in Indiana, in places like Ohio, in places like Florida. We need to stand up, not just California. Other blue states need to stand up. We need to be firm in our resolve.
All right. Mr. Galvin Newsom is going to fight fire with fire. Yeah, get her done. He's going to take it to them Texans. Well, all right, that's what he says in a nutshell. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give my unpopular opinion of the day. You know, let's start with the whole gerrymandering war we got going on here. Boy, you know, now the politics is heating up. We actually got some shit, you know, that don't include me and you, nobody. Just, you know, them going at it. First, what do I think? I think it's okay right now because it's legal for both sides to do it. So it's okay if Texas does it or if California does it. It's okay. It's legal. Now, as a voter, I personally don't want none of that crap. Because think about it. Let's say you start to see more Democrats in Texas and you feel like they're getting a stronghold to take over some seats, because we're not a true democracy. The popular vote don't win. Those votes get tallied in these gerrymandering states, which draw out the lines for the say it with me, the House of Representatives, the delegates. There's delegates and all this crap, right? So the delegates get drawn up, percentage of delegates for each state, electoral votes is what I'm talking about. And the gerrymandering has a lot to do with that. So meaning, if a party is just slightly percentage in power, they can control a much bigger power move, but because they control the gerrymandering in their state. Meaning if they're 51%, they have the power to district the gerrymandering in the electoral votes so that they get 75% of the votes versus 51%, because they could draw up the maps. The maps control how many electoral votes delegates go to each section in the map. It's not a popular vote. Boy, that's hard to explain, right? That's why this shit needs to be going. Just to give you an instance, in California, they've actually already rigged the system over there. They do it everywhere. But in California, their Republicans actually have about 45% of the vote. Nobody knows that because they're only represented in Congress by like 17-20%, because they gerrymandering the state to push them out. You know what I mean? Like if you just have I think it's like 51%, 55%, whatever it is, 54% of the vote, then your party controls to draw up the district maps, and they made that legal. And I really think, honestly, this is one of the things where I might agree with everybody on, or everybody might agree, this shit needs to end everywhere. Not, oh, well, they're doing it, that's what I'm saying. Like, stop. Like, throwing punches is no good. Like, stop the fighting. Like, this means your vote really is nothing if they're just able to draw it up. Now, that's why people run to states that they like their politics, because they know it's going to work out for them in the end. And like if I were a Republican, if I had to move to Texas, maybe I wouldn't mind it so much, right? Because I know it's going to stay Republican for a long time. Just like you're going to expect California to stay Democrat for a long time under these circumstances. But if you're someone who, hey, if you think one party is not providing good schools, roads, and bridges, and you don't see your tax dollars going, and you want collectively as a community to outvote them, well, guess what? Because of the way our system is designed, it's almost like it'll never happen. They're showing you how it just never happens. The states and cities that don't get real slick with their gerrymandering, those can kind of flip, and the pendulum could swing red, blue, blue, purple, purple, red, blue. But the states and cities who are on top of their game, yeah, they make it so that the pendulum never shifts. It never shifts, And so I guess my unpopular take is, I'm not for gerrymandering of no sort. I think this is something the Supreme Court and Congress would have to step in and say, how do they do that though? That's the tricky thing. There's no such thing as an independent body. Like, independent people are biased, right? I don't know how you draw that up. I guess right now the best way to do it is whoever's in power gets to draw it up, but it begets more power. So I don't know. It is the system. Y'all let me know in the comment section if you know a better system. We all know it's bullshit, but is there a better system? Is there a way to fix the system? You know? So look, thank you for attending the Unpopular Opinion Show. This is UPO. I'm your host, Johnny Caruso. And if you haven't done so already, give me a subscribe, hit that notification bell and like so you can get notified when I got more content. That's it. Short and sweet today, baby. Have a good one.